Thanks for clicking on my channel. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and this is my review of Lightyear, which just hit Disney Plus. So I did not see this in theaters. I saw this at home. So what was my opinion of it after the audiences have already had their say, the critics have already had their say? It's at home on Disney Plus. I can watch this from the comfort of my living room. And I just marathoned the first 4 Toy Story films. I went into this totally open-minded, ready to be blown away by it, and ready to just throw away a lot of the things that the critics were saying about it. And actually, I feel like I'm doing that. I feel like I have a very different thought about where Lightyear lands, how it lands, what it does. I'm going to try to do this without spoilers, because I'll give Pixar some credit here. There's some stuff that happens in the film that I didn't totally see coming. So I didn't really know what to expect from this film. But some stuff will have like a slight spoiler. I think by now, if you've heard anything about Lightyear, you know that the film begins with the in 1995, a boy named Andy received a Buzz Lightyear doll. Based on his, this was the movie it was based on. So like that whole beginning thing. Cool. My first thought about that is, so this doesn't feel like a film that would have been made in 1995. I mean, maybe it looks like it. I doubt it. But I feel like it just didn't feel like a 1995 animation film. I mean, if we think about mid-90s animation films that aren't Toy Story, like Pocahontas, you know, I mean, what else did we have around that time? There was like Anastasia, Lion King, Hunchback of Notre Dame. What were some of the other less popular ones happening? I don't know, like The Pebble and the Penguin. Like, I don't think we had anything remotely close to Lightyear. I'm trying to think of something that maybe was sort of like Lightyear. Even the next Pixar film was like A Bug's Life. I don't think we had a Lightyear. So it's a little bit of a stretch. And I'm all for inclusivity and LGBT representation, but there would not have been a main character with a same-sex partner in a 1995 animated kids film. Let's give historical credit to where historical credit is due. And when that actually started happening, and when those characters actually started appearing in programs and in movies, and why it was a big deal. I remember when Finding Dory had like a background couple, and like people were, you know, I mean, like they didn't have dialogue. They just like walked in the background and like it outraged people. So that wasn't even that long ago. Finding Dory wasn't even that long ago. And now Lightyear has like a couple that is barely in the film. And like this film isn't even being released in certain countries for promoting LGBT. I'm like, do you have any idea how? Did anybody watch this movie, or did they just like assume? It's so inconsequential to the plot of the film, and we're gonna talk about that because it's not even mentioned in the audio description. So if you have blind kids and you're like, I don't want to show them Lightyear because of the thing. I mean, she talks about it audibly, the character, but the kiss that supposedly happens, that I've heard happens in the film, that is so earth-shatteringly disturbing that countries won't release it, wasn't given to us in the audio description. So that's how relevant to the plot it was, is that they left that out of the audio description. So I guess it wasn't that groundbreaking or earth-shattering. So I have mixed opinions about that, because if it really was groundbreaking and earth-shattering, then I feel like we could have put it in there. But I also have questions about, I've heard that there's I believe that's part of the juxtaposition between the two characters, between Buzz Lightyear and Uzo Aduba's character during the passage of time, when they're in sort of like two different places, and you see how what he's doing and then like how her life is advancing. And I didn't get any of that. We just kind of come back, and like you just spend the whole time sort of following Buzz. And if that juxtaposition was ever happening visually for people to be able to watch, it wasn't really described to us in the context of the film. So I guess that's probably how it got left out. We got what the narrator thought we needed, and probably what Disney thought was safe. So, interesting. But so that's kind of my first thought. I don't know really if that's like do I blame the narration team for that? Do I blame Disney for avoiding it? Because I think even if Disney didn't want to put the same-sex kiss in the audio description, they still probably could have done the back and forth. I mean, explaining what's going on for Buzz and what's going on for the other character. I feel like you could have managed that. Because Buzz's thing is kind of repetitious. And anyway, I mean, I know it's Lightyear, and we all showed up for Buzz Lightyear and not a character whose name I can't even remember. Anyway, so, but that's kind of the problem with Lightyear in general, is that the entire supporting cast is so irrelevant. I know some people were really excited about Socks. I guess Socks is fine. I mean, I was expecting him to do more for this film because everybody was just like, oh my God, Socks. And he's all right. I mean, he's definitely one of the better supporting characters, that and the AI of the ship. It's funny that like the non-human characters are the ones that ended up being all of the humans in this film. I don't need them. I don't need any of them ever again. I know apparently when Andy's film came out in 1995, nobody bought the other toys. It reminded me of Jingle All the Way, and there was everybody wanted the one toy, but nobody wanted the other toy. I'm sure like there was like a Lightyear section in Andy's world, and all the Buzz dolls were gone, but then like the other toys were there from the movie, and nobody wanted them. Maybe Socks was off the shelf, I don't know, but yeah, nobody wanted the other ones. So, they're just not interesting. They're not fun. They're just there. The film actually moves really quickly. It gets into it right away. There's not a whole lot of setup. It assumes you know who Buzz Lightyear is, so it doesn't feel the need to introduce you to Buzz Lightyear, which is really weird, because then it suggests to me that Buzz Lightyear was a property before that. Like in a TV show, like there was a Buzz Lightyear TV show that was then put into a movie, because this film does a poor job of establishing Buzz Lightyear as a character. As an origin story, this isn't very good. Like as a character origin story, this film relies on the fact that you're watching this film because you've seen Toy Story and you have a general knowledge of who Buzz Lightyear is. But if you're just being introduced to this world, this is a terrible origin film. Like, if you really look at it, it doesn't really introduce you to the world or explain what Space Rangers do or are, or what timeline we're in, where we are, like what the future is, where Earth was, what's happened to human civilization. There's a whole lot of questions that Lightyear just kind of grazes over, and it just gets right into a Buzz Lightyear adventure, which is exactly the kind of thing that you would do if you've already established the character in another thing. But what other thing would it have been in? Because this film predates supposedly Toy Story. So is there a Buzz Lightyear TV series that Andy also watched? Or book? Like, what is the other thing that came before this? Because something had to have come before this. Because this film makes a huge leap that you kind of already know this universe. I will say that props to Pixar for making probably the most action-packed film they've ever made. This is the closest thing to a straight-up action sci-fi film they ever will make. It has the least amount of humor, the least amount of attempting at like an emotional ripping your heart out, like Up or Inside Out or anything like that. It just is kind of what it is. Probably for dads with little boys, this film is great, or girls that like action films, or moms that like action films with daughters. Like, I shouldn't gender that. But it feels like that kind of film. It feels like the kind of film that Disney was trying to make Treasure Planet for, when they thought they were making a lot of princess movies, and then all of a sudden they were like, oh, well, we need to make something to bring boys in, and so Treasure Planet got greenlit. Feels kind of like that. Like, they tried to come back around to that, and they were like, well, we made some movies for the girls, and now we gotta make one for the boys. It's like, I don't know that you didn't make. I feel like most times kids nowadays just kind of watch everything, unless you just really are really specifying it one way or the other. I'm sure a lot of boys saw Turning Red and enjoyed it. So, and I'm sure girls watch Lightyear. So, I don't really think we do that anymore. But this is the most action-y thing that they've done. It's kind of just straight up. It doesn't even really feel like a Pixar film. It just kind of feels like a thing that happened. Like Lightyear happened. Cool. We're moving on now. It's not the worst thing Pixar's ever done. It's probably the worst film in the Toy Story franchise. I hated Chris Evans in this film. They made little to no effort to make his character remotely like Buzz Lightyear, which is what I know a lot of people have a problem with. Is it nothing like Tim Allen? It's not even. Chris Evans is literally trying to do something else, which is the kind of thing that terrifies me about the Illumination version of Shrek that they're trying to come out with. No, you have to understand that part of the reason we like that film is because of the original voiceover actor. So when you try to do it this way, it doesn't really work. It doesn't pull it off. I don't think there's anybody who's like, ooh, I like Chris Evans more than Tim Allen. I don't think that happened. There was a certain sort of assuredness and overacting that Tim Allen put into Buzz Lightyear that made him work. Chris Evans just doesn't have that. It kind of plays it straight, like he's a action hero. This feels like it shouldn't have been animated. It should have been live action, and then maybe Chris Evans would have been a great Buzz Lightyear. But as an animated character, he doesn't really quite get the vibe of. But then again, I'm not really sure anybody in this cast got the vibe. I didn't really get great voice work from this cast. So, in general, it was just kind of a letdown. It's got some cool twists. It has some cool ideas to it. And I will say it's fast paced. It does not waste time because it refuses to set anything up. So it just gets into it. You get into like the middle of the movie kind of at the beginning, and it just keeps going. And it's weird because it feels like the movie keeps reaching a point where it's like, okay, we're getting to the end. We're getting to the end. We're getting to the, okay, we're getting to the, no, we're not. Oh, like you keep thinking like the movie could end, but then like there's more story. And then there's more story, and there's more story. I mean, it justifies the story. I'm not trying to hamper the story of the film and where it goes. I just think as an origin story, collectively, it doesn't work. I didn't hate the overall plot once I got what I got. I just think the whole setup about it being like, this is the origin of Buzz is bullshit. Like, then make an origin film. This film relies on the fact that you already know who he is. So, Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I would say the audio description too, while I question parts of it because there was some stuff that I was told about that I didn't pick up in audio description. I also, my problem, and I never know whether or not this is like, do I blame the narrators? Do I blame Disney? Because after Rescue Rangers, I knew to blame Disney. I don't know if this is a Disney thing or a narrator thing. I would not have not narrated the credits. And here's why. It was very fucking boring sitting there in dead silence through the credits when there is a mid-credit sequence and an end credit sequence. So I did it because of the narrator. I wanted to pick up on the narrator's name at the end, who I can't remember because I swear to God I've never heard her before. But the average audience, especially the average blind audience, isn't there, I guess, sit there to listen for the narrator. They're going to get up and leave out of the theater or something. But the way that you keep them there so that they watch the mid-credit sequence and they watch the end credit sequence is to say something. Keep them engaged. Something. You don't even have to list all the credits. Just list some of them. Tell us about, I don't know, the Marvel shows on Disney Plus. They don't read credits. They just tell you like the images in the background around the credits. So give us some of that. But no, it goes dead silent, and then it just comes back in for the mid-credit scene, and then it goes dead silent again. Then it comes back in for the end credit scene. Not that either of them are necessary or relevant, but they exist. So Pixar obviously wanted us to watch them. But you wouldn't necessarily know to stay because the film doesn't seem very welcoming for you to stay. Anyway, so whoever's decision that was, thumbs down. That's a thumbs down for you. Yeah, I could pretty much go either way with Pixar on this one. It's got some pluses and some minuses. I did see Turning Red earlier this year, and I remember the grade I gave Turning Red, and I'm going to be honest, even though I had problems with Turning Red, I thought Turning Red was a better film than Lightyear. So I gave Turning Red a C+, which means I'm going to give Lightyear a C. It's not Cars 2. And forever, Pixar will always have that benchmark. As long as they never fall below Cars 2, Cars 2 will forever remain the worst film that Pixar has ever made. I really don't care what your opinion is. That is the correct answer to that question. The answer to what is the worst Pixar film, the answer is Cars 2. That is not a... There's no argument to that question. When you elevate Mater to the lead of a film that we never needed a sequel in the first place, and then send him off to Britain, and then you have to make a third film in the franchise just to kind of course correct it, yeah, Cars 2 is the answer to that question. But no, Lightyear is not Cars 2. So, pretty close though. Yeah, so anyway, let me know what you think about Lightyear in the comments. It's on Disney Plus. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't. If you're a Toy Story fan, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. It depends on what you want from Buzz, I guess. I just go with God, I guess. Anyway, I got nothing on this. I'm disappointed. I was looking forward to this. But after just if you watch the first 4 and then you watch Lightyear, you'll be even more disappointed. Don't watch the other Toy Story films and try not to keep them right in your mind, because I had Tim Allen's voice in my head the whole time and I was like, oh, Chris Evans is not even close. I hated the fact that, like, every time they did the To Infinity and Beyond, he would only do the To Infinity part and then expect somebody to do and beyond. I was like, but it's your catchphrase. It's not like a half catchphrase. Like, I don't understand. So many weird choices. But anyway, please like and subscribe. MacTheMovieGuy.com is my website. Audio Description Project will let you know what has audio description and where you can watch it. And theadna.org will let you know what the narrators are up to. So that's my review of Lightyear. And now I'm going to go watch something else so that I can review that for you. But, hey, at least it has audio description, so that's a win, right? Gotta take them where we can get them. All right, that's it. See you with the next review.